Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Hope you're having a great day. It is December the 7th, 2022. Where in the world is Santa Claus? We are waiting for the Santa Claus rally. He ain't coming. He's not interested. And so we're going to take a look at what the market's doing today from a technical perspective. If you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get the alerts and the updates. I know I haven't done a video in a while. Took a little bit of time off, but I had some requests from some of our members to come back in and redo it. So I thought I would go back in and do our videos again today, since I had some requests from members to get back in and as they say, get back on the horse. So I decided I would jump in. If you want to learn more, go to TradersArmy.com so you can see more about what we do. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the S&P. We're down about 7 points this morning. And let me share my screen. So down about 7 points this morning in the S&P. We certainly, on our 4-hour chart, have been in an upward trend on our 4-hour chart, which is our big picture. But by getting a lower swing low and getting below this low area right in here, we have shown that we are now in a bit more of a downtrend because we got lower than this swing low. That's really was our controlling low. And so by getting below that area, we have now set up for the next short opportunity. So now any demand areas below me have to become confirmation entries. And we see this little 15-minute area down here at 39.20. We bounced off of that yesterday. And so that to me says that that has to become a confirmation entry. Well, I'm going to get rid of the confirmation entry because in my mind it's actually a better it's going to be probably blown right through and a better opportunity for a breakdown. We may see this area serve as a bit of a demand or a bit of a support area, and then breaking below that little support area could be a strong turning point. Now, yesterday we fell pretty hard for most of the day, most of the morning for sure, before rallying a bit at the end of the day. And that rally that we had towards the end of the day, while still a pretty good area and a pretty good rally, is one that I'm going to pay specific attention to as, you know, the origin of this little move up. Now, I don't know that that origin of that move up is going to hold for the entire, time of a big move, but it may stall us this morning to give us the basing we need for a quality breakdown. Okay? Now, going to a slightly smaller time frame, if we do rally up off of some of these lows this morning, let's look to this little wick over wick right in here as a potential reversal point for a short. Now, that would be the levels that I look at for a short, 39.65 by 39.73, and then a breakdown below 39.15. Now, what about in the NASDAQ? Well, the NASDAQ was the market that we were looking at for the best short opportunity, and this was the breakdown trade that we got yesterday. Was we broke down below this area, giving us a very nice entry, and price hit our target pretty much right away. Did not take long at all for price to hit our target. And once it hit that target, it continued to go down into this area of demand. Now, we didn't get a bounce off of that demand that told us it was time to get in. And matter of fact, what it told us was, hey, you can get in if you really, really want to. 6 candles later, it's telling us we're not doing much here, so you might want to leave. And so with that being said, this to me is your better breakout today. It's below yesterday's low. So if we drop down below yesterday's low, I think you've got a very good opportunity for a potential short entry below this level right in here. The origin of the move, by the way, from yesterday is certainly still going to be a supply area. And if we go down to a 15-minute chart, I don't have as clean of a level on the 15-minute chart on the NASDAQ as I did in the S&P. So I'm not going to add that to this analysis. So those would be the two levels, I think, in the S&P and the NASDAQ for breakdown. The NASDAQ's 11,500, and then the S&P's 39.15. Remembering that on our daily chart of the NASDAQ, this is also going to be the last daily swing low. So if we get lower than this swing low on a daily, then that is going to potentially spell the beginning of the end for this little uptrend that we had here, which started all the way back on this huge green candle back on November the 10th. Now remember, the Nasdaq has had that big move up, but the S&P has not enjoyed that large. Has not. The S&P was already going up from there, and has not necessarily had the same move down because the market has been buoyed by industrials, basic materials, and financials a little bit, and technology has really been a drag, which is why we're seeing the Nasdaq fall the way it has. The Russell has already gotten below this big low, this big move up. That was really the Russell already has gotten below that level, and that was really our canary in the coal mine yesterday for the market dropping. Was we utilized the Russell as our leading indicator. And if you were in the live trade room yesterday morning, hopefully you were able to catch some of that movement that we talked about yesterday and made a little bit of cheddar off the level. But on the hourly chart, this little wick over wick up here is a brilliant opportunity to get short if we do get a rally up. That's at 1830 by 1834, that wick over wick below a pivot high being probably the best area and best entry for a reversal trade. Taking a real quick look at some of our crude oil levels and maybe even some of our gold levels. So crude oil, we looked yesterday at a breakdown below 75.58. We did get a bit of a breakdown below that level. Looking at it, we were looking at it yesterday on this smaller time period. Got a little bit of a breakdown. We poked below it, came back up, and then got a little bit of a retest to come back into it. So you may or may not have gotten in on this level right here. The breakdown was one that we anticipated happening, but this little move down followed by this move up may have wicked you out of that trade. If it did, it gave you another opportunity here, and then fell away. I know that can be frustrating. That's one of the most frustrating things in the world of trading is when you do get an entry and then you get stopped out right away. In this case, the most recent pivot technically would have been way up here. But I can certainly see that a number of traders probably had their stop just below this level in here, and then it moved down and dropped below that level. So now, what are we looking for? Well, I still am looking for price to fall because my big picture, which would be my 4-hour chart, is still a continuation of a pretty pronounced and pretty strong downward trend. So with that pretty strong downward trend, where's an opportunity to get in? Well, you're sitting actually at a little bit of an hourly demand level now. Let me go back more in time, put more time on my chart here to see that demand level. Oh, got to go back further than 90 days. There we go. So now we're going back a year, just about a year in our timeline here in crude oil, and we're back to this area of demand, which was a little bit of sideways before a very strong move up. That's a pretty good demand area. And we're bouncing off of that demand area now. But if you think about it, realistically, my target, if I were to get long, has to be right here, which means it gives me less, about a 1-to-1 reward to risk trade. And so with that being a 1-to-1 reward to risk trade, I'm probably not interested in it. So I've got to look at the levels below that. And when I look at the levels below that, going all the way over to the left where those levels are created, I have this one here, which we chopped in sideways for quite a while. And so in the strength of this downtrend, I don't like that as much. And so the one that I have below there is going to be this little area right here, which is formed at a market open. So to me, $70, and $70 is a pretty good whole round number. That's kind of your next strong area of demand. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means I've got room to fall, right? That means I've got room to fall. So where can I get short? Well, the best way in my mind to get short is going to be to go to a smaller time frame and get short on a rally back up to a fairly nice area of supply. And you've got a little level right in here off of last night's price action right there at the European market open. I say 15 minutes. I'm sorry, I went to the hourly level. we can go to a 15-minute and see if there's something a little bit cleaner. Not really. The hourly level is just fine off of the European market open where we fell from, and look for a reversal back up into this level for price to continue to trade short, and that would be 74.06 by 74.50 roughly. Gold, I was really thinking that as we saw the dollar, let me just pull the dollar up real quick. As we see the dollar have weakness, gold has strength. And so the dollar the last 2 days has rallied up. Now, are we about to roll over and drop again in the dollar, which is really what price action is setting up to do? So if that is the case, then there's a better chance that we see some strength in gold. And notice that gold, after 2 days of down, is starting to potentially roll back up. So let's look at our smaller time period and say, well, where would I take advantage of a move back up in gold? Well, certainly above this 1821 is a breakout potential. You have this area here for a breakdown, which also exists, in case that daily chart does continue to fall and the dollar starts to rally back up. Then I would look for a breakdown below here or a breakout above here. I'm not looking for a reversal in either case right now. Breakout above here gives me a nice run, clean air all the way up to this region, and a breakdown below here, I've got a pretty good continuation of this move down. So gold is kind of in between those two levels, and it's all dependent on what the dollar does right now. So hopefully that gives you some trade ideas that you can look at for today. If you have any questions, obviously, shoot us an email, support@tradersarmy.com. Go to TradersArmy.com to learn more about what we do every day. I look forward to talking to you soon, and I will see ya.